We were, of course, all forced into lockdown over Christmas almost, I think, this time last year, in the delusional belief that our elected members of Parliament would, well, suffer the grind with us. My God, we were wrong. If we get the first image up here, because an image has emerged of a Christmas party, which we now known to have occurred.
So this one is Tory staffers.
Tory staffers, but I can see, is that Sean Bailey?
Yes, the mayoral candidate for the Tories. And this is combined, of course, with the previous leak, presumably from Dominic Cummings.
Presumably, yes, it must be.
Of Boris hosting a Zoom call party as well. So.
Yeah, but as you can see, no social distancing, no masks, all laughing at our misery, basically. Of course, none of us would have any issue with this happening if we weren't all forced into lockdown ourselves. But yes, if we get the next clip up, and you can also see that Grant Shapps said that the Conservative Party did not know about Sean Bailey's party, which was pre-planned and had a buffet despite it occurring in Conservative Party HQ.
So the Conservative Party is unaware of a party being hosted at Conservative HQ.
Yep.
Who believes that?
Pretty much no one.
Yeah.
Anyone with a brain. But this just rubs more salt into the wound, really, after Angela Stratton, of course, as we know, resigned from her position as a government advisor last week following an angry backlash over a video of Number 10 staff joking about holding a Christmas party. And we can also recall the Conservatives laughing in our faces. I think you covered this a month or so ago when they renewed their own emergency COVID powers. If we get the next, if we get the Mirror article up here, please, John. And the powers which include the power to detain people suspected of having COVID for up to 28 days, powers for the health secretary to shut down individual events, gatherings, shops or restaurants if they pose a specific risk, and allowing authorities to shut individual schools as well as ports, railway stations and airports where there was perceived to be a specific danger to public health. So yeah, our governments. But anyway, we found out yesterday that Plan B, Boris's response to Omicron, has passed by 369 votes to 126. The bill will see face masks become compulsory again in most public indoor venues other than hospitality. NHS COVID passes will become mandatory in specific settings, and people will be encouraged to work from home. So just so we can see what this will look like coming into effect. As we get up Sajid Javid here. Yep, so no more international travel for 12 to 15-year-olds without the NHS COVID pass.
Including everyone else, by the way.
Yes.
He's just mentioning there that children now also have to have the jab, even though his own advisors say it's not worth the risk-reward, but who cares what they say?
Indeed. And if we have a look at what this NHS pass will actually look like.
Yeah, so this is the NHS. I don't know if you were here yesterday, but like the Department of Health got caught tweeting early that, from Wednesday you'll have to have the NHS pass even before the bill passed.
Yeah.
It was like they had this already in place. They knew it was going to pass.
Yeah, suspicious, isn't it?
Even though we should say thank you to the 90 MPs who rebelled.
Oh, no, and we certainly will in time. This may or may not mirror health passes from a certain point in modern history. If we get the next one up.
Yes, this is David.
Yes.
Just a few examples.
Yeah, health passes from history, Nazi, East Germany, EU and British.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And of course, someone actually got into trouble for pointing this out. We get the next one up. British lawmaker Marcus Fisher has come under fire for comparing Nazi Germany to plans to roll out COVID-19 vaccine mandates in some capacity in the United Kingdom. So how dare you heretic, I think is the message here.
Like, I don't get it. Like, the Nazis had the Gesundheitspass. That's the reference. I mean, it's sort of like saying, did you know the Nazis had camps or something? Well, that's ridiculous. How dare you say that? It's like, yeah, but they did. So...
Yeah,
I don't know what the criticism is.
Yeah, it's a perfectly valid comparison. There are other comparisons you could make.
We didn't have them. No?
Yes. But if we move on to the next one, we have patients are going to be set to be discharged to hotels, and GP appointments are going to be cancelled in order to protect our NHS and for the purpose of delivering the booster rollout.
So the NHS is no longer going to serve the health of the country in terms of the fact that there will be no more GP appointments.
Yep.
But just boosters.
Yep.
So it's literally just the booster health service.
Yep, pretty much. And if we move on to the next one, we have GPs being only open for extreme emergencies, as if, well, we know that they haven't really been many of them haven't been, shall we say, doing their jobs properly for some time now.
Well, they haven't been able to.
No.
Thanks to the government.
Yes. But no, it's a complete and utter mess, illy thought out. But thankfully, a considerable portion of Conservative MPs, as you mentioned, did have the spine to vote against the bill. And if we get the tweets from Christmas Rose up, So yes, there were 126 rebels, not from the Conservative, but people who voted against the bill in general. But how many? What was it? 90 Conservative Party members? Did you say?
I don't remember the
MPs?
exact figure. I can see Mr. Rose saying that
Yes.
69 MPs are supposedly Tories there, but then the rest of them, funnily enough, came from like the Lib Dems and the Socialist group within Labour.
Yes.
Which a lot of people, of course, found suspicious because Jeremy Corbyn voting against them, for example.
Yes.
I happen to think, or my theory on this, is not that Diane Abbott, Dawn Butler, and Jeremy Corbyn were suddenly like, yeah, those are a bad idea. No, I think it's a factional fight within Labour because I pay attention to these things in the party, even though I'm not part of it, because I just think it's funny.
Yeah.
And the Starmerites and the Corbynites are still fighting every single day, and I think this is one of those things where they're trying to show a difference between the two for their supporters.
I think so, but at least they ultimately, I suppose, did the right thing, even if they
For cynical reasons.
even if it was perhaps for cynical reasons.
It begrudges me.
Yeah,
but on Jeremy Corbyn on that.
Yeah, but on the Conservative side, if we get the standards list of the MPs who voted against the bill up from the standard, so notable figures who voted against the bill were Sean Bailey. Some redemption for him there. Steve
Is
Baker.
he an MP?
Oh, and he's not. It's not. No, he's not an MP. Well, I don't know why his name
Maybe a
would
different
be
one.
on there. But anyway, Steve Baker, Desmond Swain, Chris Bading, Liam Fox, David Davis, Theresa Villiers, Graham Brady, Andrea Leadsom, Damien Green, interestingly as well, One Nation Conservative. I couldn't.
Andrea Leadsom.
You know what's interesting? I couldn't find Theresa May on this list.
Yeah.
I did search. Can you
Strange.
see Theresa May on this list? Because she's been one of the most vocal.
Yeah. She's been of the point of just being like, let's just live with COVID. Let's get over it, which is, weirdly redeemed her.
Yeah,
of course.
pretty based. But in a separate vote, 61 COVID MPs were listed as having voted against the mandatory vaccine requirements for NHS and social care itself. And some of these were, again, David Davis, Desmond Swain, Andrea Leadsom, Liam Fox, Steve Baker, who voted against that. So yeah, there has been a considerable form of resistance against the Conservative
Salute
Party.
to those people. If you live in those constituencies, send them an email of thanks. And
Yes.
if you don't live in those constituencies like me, you send an email to your MP asking what they were thinking, which I did. And I got a unhappy response, but we'll have that conversation another time.
Yes, but if we could get the what was it, the tweet up from Sky News about Wes Streeting, because he said something quite interesting. Because even though Wes Streeting, of course, voted with the government and with the majority of the Labour Party on this deal, he basically emphasised how this just expresses the shattered authority of Boris Johnson. And, well, to be perfectly honest, it does.
Does he not see the irony, though?
He must do, but he's trying to gloss over it.
Him and all the snake people voted with the snake people in the Tory parties who got this through. And he's like, yeah, but they have no authority. It's like, why did you vote for it then?
Yeah. You quite literally legitimise their authority by voting with them,
Like,
by voting with the shattered authority. That you are part of the shattered authority, in effect.
Like, if you think the Tory government doesn't have an authority, then you don't back them. You be the opposition and vote against them. That's what the opposition is for. But if you don't and instead vote with them, well, then you are part of the government. In fact, you are the people who are passing this stuff through.
Yeah.
Because if Labour didn't vote with them, it wouldn't have passed.
Yeah. And that's a very, very, very easy way of making himself look virtuous at a time when he has, well, again, subjugated the country to more tyranny, I would argue.
An attempt, maybe. I see that. I just think snake. Like,
Yes.
The lizard person, like, conspiracy theory meme? I mean, part of it is true. There are sort of people that seem to have some kind of, like, insect brain or something, where they just think about how to F someone over at the first possible convenience.
Yeah, he's trying to sustain, or was it that the image of being in opposition, or the image of a functioning opposition for the benefits of Keir Starmer, and it's just not going to wash. But anyway, shall we look at the list of the Labour rebels? Which, again, you mentioned some of them earlier. Some of the most probably deplorable Labour politicians imaginable. Diane Abbott, Aspana Begum, Dawn Butler, Emma Lewell-Buck, I'm not sure who she is, Clive Lewis, Rebecca Long-Bailey. This is the Democratic Socialist wing of the party.
Yeah, this is what I mean. It's the socialist group of them who have all decided they're going to fight against Starmer. I don't believe for a second if they were in power, they wouldn't have voted for this.
Yeah, well, Jeremy Corbyn actually voted against both bills that I mentioned. And if we get the Daily Mirror article up here, you can actually, and scroll down, you can actually see
Don't
the
say
tweet.
based. Don't say based.
The tweet. I'm not going to stretch that. For once upon a time, I may have said that. Tonight, I would oppose both compulsory vaccines for NHS staff and the introduction of vaccine passports. Both measures are counterproductive and will create division when we need cooperation and unity. I mean, if you kind of ignore the obvious newspeak here, he is absolutely right in saying that this bill does purposely advance the two-tier societies that we are currently seeing in Australia, Germany, Austria as well, where you quite literally have like a metal fence in supermarkets between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. So he's actually not. He's got a point on this one. I think that's fairly uncontroversial. But now we have to turn to why this is such. Well, needless to say, Plan B is such an overreaction from Boris. Now, Boris, of course, made his position perfectly clear on Sundays when he invaded our screens at 8 p.m. to basically declare Omicron an emergency and launch an intense vaccine booster program. He said that there was a tidal wave coming and that 2 vaccines was not enough to counteract the virus, before proceeding to say that a third will definitely be sufficient. Now, he interestingly says we don't know how serious the virus is at this point. And this, for anyone who watches the news, this is an explicit lie.
I mean, the dude is the Prime Minister. He's given every report on it as soon as it happens.
Yes, and unless he literally never watches the news, he will know that he's lying, basically. Yeah. And this is shown by the fact that the scientist who discovered the variant, Dr. Angelique, again, I apologise if I mispronounce your surname, Coetzee, basically said that this is all completely overblown. In an interview with Nigel Farage, she said that all the evidence in South Africa suggests that the symptoms are far milder and can't even be compared, really, to Alpha or Delta. And she proceeds to say in an interview with Sky News, if we get this up, that Boris's reaction is just utterly disproportionate. I mean, for a start, she affirms the fact that, this difference between Delta and the current variant is stark. She says, in her own words, Delta was terrible. It was heartbreaking. When the patients opened the door, you just knew there was trouble. But when asked about whether she had seen similar scenes 3 weeks into the Omicron outbreak, she says, no, it's nothing like it. And when she turns to the British reaction to say they need to understand the clinical picture, adding that there is a huge gap between the science and what is actually happening. What do I give to Omicron patients? Do I give them the same treatment as Delta? No, you don't have to, because there's quite simply no need. And when asked about whether the UK is overreacting, she gives a nuanced answer to say you need to take precautionary measures. Yes, you have to be prepared, but don't hype it up. Don't scaremonger, basically. That people are going to die from viral infections, that hospitals will be overwhelmed. It's just better to wait and see. And all you have to do is have a look at the data to actually see that this is a completely disproportionate response. I mean, just honestly look at it on the internet. The hospitalizations are minuscule. But she basically says Britain has moved into crisis mode unnecessarily. And as a matter of fact, Boris's strategy is, and this is the most important part to take from this, likely to be counterproductive to the ends that he sets out, given that emergency booster campaigns can actually act as a source of transmission, with tens of thousands being forced to queue for added protection. Like, we've already walked past this, well, I will walk past this on the way to work. The queues are enormous. But there's another thing here as well. And if you actually get up the temporary waiver, which has been announced for this. Now, you may not know this. I've been vaccinated, so I've been through this process. When you're given the vaccine, you're then basically sent through to a waiting room where you have to sit for 15 minutes in case you experience any kind of reaction. When I was there for the first time, someone actually collapsed in front of me and actually needed medical attention. He was fine, like no harm done, or at least so it seemed at the time. But what they've actually done to speed up this booster process is actually eradicate that 15 minutes observation period for the mRNA vaccines, which I had. Now, just imagine if this person, if that gentleman, like, walked home and collapsed when he was crossing the road.
Are we the only ones to have done this as well?
I'd have no idea. I would never wish this on another nation, of course. But it's just utterly beyond belief. But I don't think we're going to have the time to cover Keir.
No, we will, because don't worry.
Oh, okay, no, sure. But basically, Keir Starmer has been completely and utterly useless in opposition. And if we can play the video here, we can actually see why.
It is my solemn duty to challenge the government where necessary. The health, safety and security of our nation and its people must always be the first priority. That's why we will always support measures designed to protect public health. That includes the measures in Plan B. We are a patriotic party, and it's our patriotic duty to vote for these measures to ensure that they go through.
And can you get any more sick?
In doing so, we are supporting the NHS and supporting our country. But rest assured, I will still hold the government to account in the coming weeks. That is also
Sorry.
in the national interest.
I mean, can you actually believe
It is
this?
my solemn duty to challenge the government where necessary.
To challenge the government
our nation and its people
by not challenging it
must
at all.
always be the first priority. That's why we will always support measures designed to protect public health. That
Now, you
includes
see-
the measures in Plan B.
Anyway.
Oh,
We are
What a
patriotic
snake
party.
person.
no, exactly.
Like, I was mentioning the lizard person conspiracy theory. Honestly, if that dude isn't a lizard, then, what's happened to him? How can
mean,
someone
I
honestly
know.
sit there and be like, I'm going to challenge the government by voting with them every day?
I know. I mean, Neil Oliver actually gave a brilliant response in a conversation with Dan Wusson on this, and he basically said that Keir Starmer's response here is a suicide note. The opposition is just not an opposition. At best, a tissue paper, an insubstantial, inconsequential nothingness, with his point being that if that's the opposition that holds the Conservative Party to account, then it's pretty much all over.
Yeah.
It's pretty much all over. But if we move on to Dominic Raab, who's made a blithering error himself, unfortunately, you may recall that he announced that we had 250 cases of Omicron in the United Kingdom.
Oh, no.
As it turns out, it's not 250. He's 10. He got the facts wrong.
Oh. Okay.
Yes, and that he declared in front of everyone on the BBC yesterday. But having corrected himself later on ITV, I believe. He basically said that there are in fact 900 COVID-related hospitalisations in the UK, but this is, of course, like generally.
But even then, that's nothing burger.
It's absolutely nothing. I mean, we haven't even considered reopening, for example, the Nightingale hospitals. We've got a surplus of resources to cope with this in the National Health Service. But we are going to we're going to finalise this segment by looking at Gibraltar, the most vaccinated place on Earth, who have cancelled Christmas anyway.
Yeah.
And
This was a memo sent out. So it's the Gibraltarian government has told the people that they are to cancel any Christmas parties or gatherings or any of the sort because of the spread of Omicron.
yes.
What are you talking about? Like, everyone is vaccinated in Gibraltar. This is why I find the obsession with the vaccination, especially in response to this, so absurd.
So what is the B under Boris's bonnet then? I mean, surely he must be looking at this and thinking, well, quite clearly, it's not working in Gibraltar. Like,
Because it's not even about the jabs. I mean, it's not about the vaccine passport. It's
It
not
can't
about
be,
the
can
jabs.
it?
It's not about public health, quite frankly. Well, what else on earth could closing down Christmas parties in Gibraltar when 100% of the population are vaccinated be about?
yeah. And 67% of that have actually had the booster, haven't they?
Yeah. So
Yes.
I don't know if we can go to, I assume the next one. There's
Yeah, yes. This I believe is the very...
the images on here. I found it this morning just to double check. So Gibraltar being a perfect test study for just the local area, right? So if we can click that first one, please, John. You can see there 99% or more have been vaccinated, double jabbed. 99%. 67% have had a booster. So you could describe the place as 167% vaccinated.
Yeah.
And then if we go to the next one, do they have cases? Yeah. Still get cases. But is that important? No, because we can look at the deaths. If we go to the next one, there are no deaths. There's some occasional ones there.
No, literally nobody is dying from it.
One, you can literally count them with your fingers because this graph
Yeah.
is so small. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the last couple of months. 6 people. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you're looking at. And if we go to the last one here, it's just the fact that, yeah, that's what they do in response. Got nothing to do with the virus.
Reckon that's where we're headed?
Yeah, I reckon we are. Getting the jabs means nothing to these people.
So it seems.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to subscribe and get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as this article, which is an article from Rory, in which he argues, despite its virtues, it's time to let the NHS die. So you can go in there, and also for Silver and Gold tier members, get the audio track in case you don't like reading, because reading sucks, and I sympathise. However, if you'd also like to find out what we're releasing on the site, you can also follow us on getter.com, so that is at lotuseaters_com there, and thank you and goodbye.